This is David Andrew Wiebe Podcast, episode number 4 for October 23rd, 2009. And with me here today is special guest Patrick Zelinski. How are you today, Pat?
Hello, homie. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm going to be interviewing Pat in just a moment, but first I have a few announcements to make. And I'd like to give a big shout out to my friend Lucas Chason. Thanks again for coming and being a part of the podcast. I have a couple of shows coming up next week. On October 29th, I'll be performing at Kawa Espresso Bar with my friend Christopher James Connolly, and on October 31st, I'll be playing a special Halloween show at the House Coffee Sanctuary, so make sure to mark those dates in your calendar. I also have a couple events coming up in November, the first being a performance at Good Earth Cafe on November 7th, and that'll also be with my friend Christopher James Connolly. On November 14th, I'll be leading a guitar workshop in Cochrane, and this will be a songwriting workshop. So if you'd like to learn more about that, please visit my website at daw-music.com. You can also check out Pat's website to learn more about this event, and his website can be found at overturemusic.ca. I'm also scheduled to play at the House Coffee and Sanctuary on November 21st, and my friend Chris Naish hosts an event called Gonzo Night, and he usually features a number of local artists in addition to himself. So if you'd like to keep updated on all of those events, please refer back to my website. I also made a blog post about mind mapping recently, and if you're not familiar with mind mapping, and if you're in the habit of making lists, I would definitely encourage you to check out this new post, which can be found at davidandrewwiebe, WIEBE.com. And recently there have been a lot of people following me on Twitter, so I just wanted to say thanks to everyone that has taken interest in what I'm doing. I'm not sure if this is because of my podcast or if it was totally random, but if you happen to be looking for me on Twitter, my username is DAWMusic, just with a capital D. All the other letters are lowercase. And I also have a YouTube channel, so if you search for Arch Nemesis X or Arc Nemesis X with a capital A and a capital X at the end, and you should be able to find me. No spaces in that name. I don't have much up there besides video game and movie reviews, but there's definitely more to come. So, as I mentioned earlier, Pat runs a business called Overture Music, and he is a music teacher, guitarist, musician extraordinaire. Pat and I are currently learning Pro Tools together. Are you enjoying that process, Pat?
Oh, very much. It definitely changes the way you think about writing and about music in general. When working with Pro Tools, we pay a lot of attention, we have to pay a lot of attention to production. And with this process, I've been noticing how important production is to your overall sound and to your song in general. So it's been a very rewarding process, and I'm not enjoying the technical elements per se. I mean, the DVDs and the instructional guides we go through, as we know, are very tedious.
That's
right. But that's something Pro Tools needs to work on. They need to get I don't know, someone a little more fun than the corporate guys they have behind, those control videos. So, but no, altogether, it's been a very, very enjoyable process, and I could definitely see myself doing this for a long period of time, recording and producing music. So,
awesome. What sort of improvements do you think they should make to Pro Tools in future editions?
To Pro Tools, it's amazing. Like when I'm starting out and when I'm just trying to do a simple recording of a song or just go through the basic steps. There's always something that just goes wrong, like trying to find a regions list. Like it's doesn't explain where it is or where to find it. And there's this little scroll button at the bottom, and eventually you figure it out. But there's a million little things that end up causing a lot of problems to get started and are very discouraging. For one, setting the metronome. Like it's just a process that can be a lot easier. So on getting started with recording a song, I think that maybe there should be a tutorial that is a lot more simpler. Once you get going, yes, you have to delve into a lot of technical elements, and that's understood. But for getting started, I think that it's a little discouraging.
Yeah, those of you listening to the podcast can't see me nodding away in agreement with what Pat is saying. I definitely think there could be some improvements, but it's a cool program, and How do you like all those plugins they've
All,
got?
all the plugins. Oh, the plugins are fun. I haven't really you know, I haven't been able to improve the sound too much with plugins, with the plugins that came with Pro Tools yet, but that comes with just trial and error.
Yeah.
So some plugins I recently bought Amplitude, which is a guitar amp modeling program, and it's awesome. The tones you get out of that are quite extraordinary. You just plug the guitar direct in, and then you got choices of several amp models, effect pedals, effect rigs, different cabs, the microphones you use. It's a pretty neat program and very easy to use. Saying that, it tends to take up a lot of space, and we have buffering problems as we're going. But I think that's just going to come with getting a separate audio drive for the computer before I install more plugins in the future. So
I definitely agree that the Amplitude is a pretty awesome program, and having tried it myself, it gets some great tones out of that. And we've also experienced some frustration with installing plugins too, right?
oh yeah, with the well, I'm a big fan of violins and cellos and different things and music like that. I think that a symphony sound can add a lot to a lot of music, especially instrumentals and acoustic pieces. And there's this one, the Philharmonic Orchestra plugin, and it's been a nightmare to unplug. I've been getting tech support with IK Multimedia, and they've just have not even given the solution to why I can't, why it's not working, why it's not, showing up in my Pro Tools plugins list. But yeah, technical problems for sure. I guess I'm just not computer literate, and it's something I have to learn. I've always been one to sit behind my guitar and play a lot, but I felt as a musician this was a step I had to take. So it's a learning process.
Yeah, I guess with anything, it's a learning curve, and to be kind of a musician that exemplifies all the qualities you need in the industry today, it's good to have that recording experience behind you, as well as songwriting and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely. And you could even take different things from this and apply it to your stage show. It's amazing how much more I started listening to my sound ever since I've recorded and have heard stuff being played back to me. I started changing my whole effects rig altogether and have started experimenting a lot more to the sound that comes out of my amp a lot more. So it's a very cool process, and I find it's helped me grow in a lot of areas as a musician. I've realized the importance of sound, and sound is in everything. We tap a desk, there's sound. And it's incredible once we set up a microphone. It's incredible how the structure of the room affects the sound. Every object, how it's placed in the room, affects the sound, because a microphone is so finicky. It picks up absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So there's all these objects around us. There's this environment around us where everything is full of sound, and it picks it all up. So it's,
Yeah, I've experienced that with recording Shipwrecked as well, and not happy with a lot of the dirty tones I got on that. So it's really a matter of a lot of experimenting and trial and error, and knowing your gear seems to be an important part of that as well.
Oh, definitely. I remember watching Pink Floyd's Live at Pompeii, and the number one point they stressed in that video is know your gear before you build it. Don't let the machines you use control you. You have to have complete control of them and be able to use them to their however you want. You are the artist. You are their master, and that's how it's got to be.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So where are you interested in taking the recording experience that you gained from this and the technical aspect of it?
I want to be the best producer the world has ever seen. No. That's not it at all. I'd love to work with artists and have the experience to work on projects with people. I've always, I think it's one of my favorite things as a musician is to tap into other people's work and tap into other writers' work and do what I do within that. So I think producing is just something I feel I'm born to do. In a sense, and I've found it now. So yeah, I definitely want to be. I don't know if there's a market to do it fully as a career. But I definitely plan to train and make a job of it for sure. So I love it also because it's versatile. The hours are versatile. You take on a project. You can tour around that. I think it's a great job to do. If I was touring with a music band or project, I'm teaching right now. It's not so versatile. You can't just tell your students, "Hey, see ya, I'm going on tour."
Yeah,
You're
that's
committed to them and you're committed to that time. So with producing, I just feel like you even get a greater sense of being your own boss. And doing things as you please. So you're not controlled by time necessarily as much. You're not tied down by as strong of a schedule.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big part of why Pat and I get along so well, is because him and I have a similar vision. The vision that we have here at Red Flame is working with artists and putting that music first. And I think that's a big part of that's missing in a lot of the music industry, is having that passion for the music rather than kind of the business, the money, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, it's just most producers just produce the way they do and become who they are to be marketable. It all fits a niche sound. They have a formula that just, it's a formula that's meant to be driven out to masses, and that's what I'm not about. I'm in music to grow.
Yeah.
And to have growth in music and not fit under a formula where the sound is already known before it's recorded, right? So yeah. It's a process. It's gotta be a process.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast not too long ago in which they were talking about the popular music that is coming from X Factor and American Idol and shows like that, and found it interesting how they have to make money. If they don't make money at it, they can't pay their staff, and there's all kinds of ramifications of that. So I understand the legitimacy of that as well. I think what we're trying to convey is we like artists who maybe don't have the biggest of followings, who maybe aren't going for corporate sellout type music. We like people who genuinely like music.
Yes.
And that are passionate about it.
Definitely.
So talk about your experience as a guitar player and how did you start?
How did I start? Okay. Well, I was a very lazy high school student. I didn't attend a lot of classes. I was very into sports at the time. So I started in about grade 10 as an option in high school. My mom had a guitar that basically had bass strings on it, and it was a pile, to say the least. But I always loved music. I listened to a lot of music, a lot of popular music at the time, because I think everybody starts with what they're first introduced to as popular music, and you branch out from there. So I was listening to a lot of Backstreet Boys to Collective Soul, a wide range of music, even live. I really liked the Throwing Copper album at the time. So some stuff even with guitar in it. I was did I say Backstreet Boys? Oh gosh. Cut. No.
Did you actually learn some of their songs?
On guitar? Oh no. Actually no, I have. There was actually, when I was out at camp, we did a cover of
okay.
I can't remember which one it was, and I was playing the guitar for it. But yeah, so I took it as an option, and the first year I wasn't totally into it. I think I passed the class with a 53 because I just saw it as a slack class. But everybody's first year on guitar is frustrating, getting over hurdles. Once I got over hurdles, and once I was able to connect chords and be able to make barred shapes in the second year, I was flying. It was I was getting 80s in the chorus. And it was a passion that I've never let down since then. So that's how I got started. Did you want me to go on about what has led me up to becoming a teacher?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So we'll I just don't want these questions to be prolonged longer than.
Oh no.
But so after high school, I didn't compete as much with sports, and I was playing with a band called Noraya. We won a songwriting contest at the time, and we've had a lot of success. We started doing a lot of shows in Ontario, Thunder Bay, Ontario, and we're starting to work on our first album. In this time, we've had a lot of offers to play at Guelph, the folk festival down there, and we opened up for a few acts in Thunder Bay, major acts, including Pilot. I can't remember who else. But I found that in the studio, we're working with the producer, a very strong guitar player, and he was going for that more produced sound, definitely, where he wanted the guitars to be in the background, vocals and drum oriented. And I found the whole vision of the band was suffering through that process. So it was something I had to get out of. And then I moved here and decided, you know what, I need to work on becoming a stronger player. So I hired different instructors. I hired a guitar player to work on my rock playing. I hired a guitar instructor. Well, I worked with a guitar instructor at the conservatory, Oriel Conservatory, to get into classical guitar, where I've gotten, you know, up to about grade 8, and I started attending classical guitar conferences and performances and things like that. And I was planning on attending school. And in the process, I overpracticed and had an injury with tendonitis and repetitive strain. So it changed my kind of the way I thought about music altogether. It was meant to happen, and I realized, hey, I need to be creative. I need, you know, with classical music, it's very strong technically. It's very strong on theoretically as well, but it just doesn't teach you how to take what you use and apply it with, you know, being your own person and to be unique. So I needed to step away from that, and I started writing music again in this time as I was building up my endurance to play. And it was a process I needed to grow. I grew a lot as a person in this time, and now I realize how important it is to mix life with music, life experiences with music, and how important it is when we're creative to write from as many different, if this makes sense, continuums as we can. So to find all different inspiration for the music we write, and to not put up blocks or doors that will limit ourselves from reaching those places. So recently I've just been writing multitudes of music and trying to find the right people to play with. So
talk a little bit more about tendonitis and your experience with that, and what people can do to prevent it, and also if they already have tendonitis, how they can start to find some healing from that.
Okay, prevention. I think a big thing for anybody who's doing music professionally is massage, acupuncture, different things that you go every couple of weeks just to keep the muscles loose in your hand, and to keep good posture while you're playing. Make sure you're playing with a strap. Vitally important. And one of the most important things, and I learned this when I was doing classical guitar, and it's interesting that I got the tendonitis after. It was just because I was playing like 8 hours a day at the time. But you're taught not to work harder than you have to. I think a lot of guitar players, when they're playing chords, they're gripping their guitar. It's very important to only put as much pressure on the frets and only use as much work and have as much work flow through your body as is necessary to play. It will make you a better player, and it's great in preventing injuries for sure. So
that's good.
People who have it, I think every injury happens for a reason, and it's about finding that reason. And once you come in terms with that, I think that if you're meant to play music, you're meant to recover, you will. So it's just you gotta believe, but you gotta believe it happened for a reason and find that.
Very good. I like that. I also found it interesting what you said earlier about beginner guitar students tending towards kind of the pop music. I also have a similar experience at the time. What was popular was, you know, Santana and Rage Against the Machine. So some immediate guitar, heroes for me were like Santana and Tom Morello and guys like that. And I still enjoy Tom Morello's playing to this day for sure. But
not Santana though.
I don't listen to him as much. I still like his playing, but I don't.
Okay.
Work on that stuff.
It's you might have been introduced to guitar playing, instantly. I mean, guitar playing is very popular. Classic rock today is what's being played on so many radio stations. It's everyone likes it more than modern rock. It's way better.
Exactly.
And that's what my dad got me into. He played me a whole bunch of records, and he'd be like, "Hey, Hotel California, this song is way better than that garbage you're listening to and showing me on MTV." So and it didn't take long to realize this for sure, and to see, wow. I think as a guitar player, it's like, as you play, your taste in music is always changing. It's always evolving, and it just opens up the doors to so many different, playing so many different artists and learning from so many different artists, and you just become more and more open-minded the more you play. So,
do you have any other tips for guitarists out there?
Guitarists starting out, or just?
Yeah, people that are starting out, or people that have a certain amount of education or training, but are still trying to find their own style and their own way of approaching the instrument.
I think that everybody's differently. If someone's looking to do it professionally, as a performer, then it's a very competitive route, right? I wouldn't necessarily have any advice for that. If someone's looking to be a songwriter or to create music or play in a band, I think it's important, number one, not to have any ego, not to carry any ego, because it ruins a song. Learn to play with other musicians. Learn to tap into what they do. Don't overplay. Don't think that you have to be Jimmy Page or whoever your idol might be overnight. It doesn't happen. You got to be your own person.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to find your own voice on guitar. I think that there's so many guitar players nowadays that are inspired by other musicians that are doing what they do really well and playing their style really well, but that's never going to go anywhere because it's not unique. There's so many other people doing that same thing. So it's important to have your own voice. It's also important, we're talking about mainstream music, because music is been made marketable. The best music is never heard by masses. All musicians know that, and it's really important to not write with an audience in mind, to write solely from your heart. Never write with your audience in mind. So many people just write for their audience, strictly for their audience, and strictly write to fit a market. You can't put up any blocks to your creativity. Why do we want to sound like anybody else? Why do we want to be anybody else but ourselves? Why are we in music?
Yeah.
To express, and being able to express should require constant growth. So, and by doing that, your sound is always changing.
Right.
And you have to be willing to let that happen.
Definitely. I like that. Google and YouTube have certainly changed the playing field somewhat. Would you agree with that? For all musicians, you can start to get a little more exposure if you go looking for it, even if you're not well known.
Oh, definitely. I think that all these tools we have today makes everybody a musician. It makes everybody be able to show their work for sure, which is excellent. So it definitely changes a lot. It's great that we have access to so many different musicians and have access to so much music without having to be forced to go out and buy the CD on a whim, without hearing any of the tracks. We have, everything in front of us. We could listen to what we want, hear so many different musicians, have time to hear so many more musicians, and not be taken out of a comfort zone, but going to a record store and purchasing 100 albums to find what we like. I used to, when I was searching for new music, I'd look at the album cover. I remember buying a Silverchair album because the album cover looked cool. There was this frog on the cover. So, I was buying CDs based on what the cover looked like, and half the time I go home pretty disappointed. So, yeah.
I was just
but then I remember I bought a Dark Side of the Moon, and that just because I thought that was a cool design, and was like pretty blown away. I was like, that was a good choice. But
I was just listening to Silverchair today myself.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I actually do enjoy some of their music.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But I know what you mean. It was kind of different days. You kind of bought CDs for for different reasons. Maybe because it was popular, maybe because you liked one song on it, maybe because the album artwork, like you said. So there
Yeah.
are a lot of things that can attract people to the music, the way it's packaged.
And there was something special about having that package.
Yeah.
There was something special about owning that, and especially finding albums that and owning an album that was special to you, that maybe a lot of people haven't bought, and you found a song maybe that wasn't a hit on an album, that song was special to you. So there was I definitely liked those times. I think in the 90s, so much great music was coming out, and so many great and new sounds were coming out. The 90s were an excellent decade.
Yeah.
For sure.
I have experience with that too. Definitely playing one of the songs that wasn't a popular single, and sometimes finding that it was pretty awesome. So, well, let's move on to talk a little bit about gear. You're a bit of a gearhead yourself.
I just started right. I think with a classical guitar, you have the guitar, and there's based on where you place your fingers, based on the angle of your fingers, you get a different tone.
Mm-hmm.
So you have just your instrument to work with to develop tone after or with this new phase in my life where I'm now working on songwriting and creating and trying to express. I think it's important to have a lot of versatility with gear and equipment. I started out thinking, okay, Boss pedals, they seem to be the standard. So
yeah.
I bought a bunch of Boss pedals, put them through, and it's incredible how they sucked all life out of my tone. Mm-hmm. The distortion, when put to any recording of anything I like, just sounded disgusting no matter how I tweaked the amp. The fuzz. Yep. I'd love to see Hendrix play with that. So I mean, out of the Boss pedals, the only one I really had any use for seemed to be the delay and the reverb. Mm-hmm. So recently, I've just started doing a lot of research. Okay, what do I do? It's a problem. You can't set up too many pedals through an effect board because you lose a lot of sound. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I looked at a radial loop bone, it's called, and it has different effect chains where only the effects you're using will be going through the system. So it allows me to have versatility without losing tone. And I find as soon as I put more than 2-3 pedals in, the sound is just not worth it what you lose. So out of what I found, first thing I started researching a ton of distortion pedals, and I found the radial one just to be phenomenal. Yeah, phenomenal. It's got a tube in the effect pedals, and how you can tweak it. You get vintage Jimmy Page type of sounds. You can get Lynyrd Skynyrd type of just like it's just so versatile what you can do with your distortion, from anything from metal to blues to you can dial up a really good tone in all genres, and to have it be completely clean. I could hear the chords I play. If I strummed a chord, even on the drive cranked, I could hear the color of that chord. A full chord. I'm talking major, minor. With the Boss, I play a power chord. I can't even tell when I'm playing. It's so dirty, right? So yeah. I started with that. And then I also got a Captain Coconut, which is something I used in a studio before, which replicates a lot of Jimi Hendrix's vintage guitar sounds, the Pro Vibe, the fuzz, and the octave, and it's a phenomenal pedal. I also got into the Moog gear, which is just more for psychedelic type of sounds and synth sounds through the guitar, and it's great for not cutting any of the sound signal as well. And then with a wah pedal, I bought a custom-made wah pedal that was specifically built to have no latency. And with that, I think you got to put a lot of money out to get a really good wah, and to really search for one that has been specifically built, because the ones we buy in the stores just don't cut it. There's too much noise interference with wah pedals. Mm-hmm. So Yeah, I have that for a setup right now. So on one bank, for instance, I would have distortion, reverb, and that's it. On another bank, I would have, the more interesting effects, and I'm liking the versatility I have, and being able to, the sounds I could create are endless right now. So, I'm always researching to update my rig and everything, but yeah.
Cool.
We have so much, I guess, with technology. We have so much to use.
Yeah.
It's incredible if we know what we're doing. Music can really, 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 really advance. A lot of different genres of music, even psychedelic music, can really, really, really advance. Experimental music. It's incredible what we have, but we have to know how to use it, and pay attention to it.
And the distortion pedal you're using is the Radial Plexi Tube, right?
Yeah, the Radial Plexi Tube. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Radial certainly seems to have an impressive line of products, and I've heard a lot of good things about them. So would you say that tone is more in your hands or in your gear? And how much affects either, especially coming from a classical player? I think this would be interesting.
Oh, well, yeah. There's no doubt that it's both. There's no doubt that it's both.
Yeah.
Acoustic guitar, heavily it's in your hands, even more so, because what you have is the natural tone of the guitar. You got the sound holes. It's heavily in your hands. So there's no doubt that both are affected. Our gear is so heavily important to the amps we choose, where we place our amp. Mm-hmm. I've grown to really respect that lately. So I would even go as far as an electric guitar player. It's more in the gear. Like, I would love to see Jimi Hendrix play with that Boss Fuzz pedal. Saying that, performance is very important, and how you play. Definitely, two guitar players will play the same riff and they'll sound completely different.
Yep.
But yep.
So, do you play instruments besides the guitar?
Ukulele, triangle, the vihuela. No, I'm kidding. I started playing piano before I did anything. Mm-hmm. So I did my real conservatory up to grade 6. I've recently just been playing around with more synthesizers and synth sounds with that. On guitar, I think that even different guitars should be a different instrument. Electric guitar, acoustic, and steel string, and nylon should all be considered different instruments and be played differently.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to branch out. Like, if you play an ebow on guitar, it's like playing a completely different instrument. Slide guitar is like playing a completely different instrument.
Yeah.
So these are all areas I've been branching out to and experimenting with, creating them, I guess, as many different techniques and styles of playing on the guitar. I've also been playing drums to work on my rhythm. I think it's important for every guitarist to really work on their rhythm. So I've been going through a syncopation book, setting up a metronome, and only focusing on rhythm. So, yeah.
And you find that helps with your guitar playing as well?
Oh, a ton. It helps with just the way you strum, how you space your strums. Little details I've learned make the biggest difference in the world, especially when I usually write songs on acoustic, apply it to electric. When you apply it to electric, how you time what you play is such a big factor, and paying attention to that is really important. And you have to have the knowledge to be able to do that. You have to be able to apply it. And if you separate things, if we make things as minimalistic as we can, we're actually practicing a lot more. Yeah, I learned that through classical. Sometimes I would just pluck one string with one finger, change the angle, and do that for an hour because that's what was required. So I'm not discouraging people from playing guitar. It's, you got to make it fun, but there are times when it's if we were practicing by making things more detailed, we're going to get more out of it.
Yeah.
But saying that, you can only stay focused for so long when you're practicing. It's important that when we're practicing, 15 minutes of focus at a time, and then go in and just have fun. You're playing the instrument to express, not to torture yourself. So, yeah.
I think that's some good advice for sure. So where do you want to take your music ultimately?
I'd love to be on tour. Right now, I'm looking for a band. I'm working with a drummer.
Yep.
I'm looking for all different musicians with all different instruments for sure. Bass, guitars, keyboards, vocals, and yeah, I'd love to be on the road touring, finding musicians that are creative as well and tap into what they do and to play with them. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I want to be, exposing my music to as many people as possible. Yeah. So
Talk about some of your musical influences.
musical influences. Okay, lately it's changing all the time. I've been huge on King Crimson and Robert Fripp. I think where they go with music, the boundaries that they've covered, and how Robert Fripp has always been able to change his playing to whatever singer he may bring into the band, it's just phenomenal. They've been heavier than any band I've heard. They have jazz influences in their music. They've had a time where they're playing mainly folk music, throwing in flutes and all different types of acoustic instruments. So throughout their career, they've gone through so many phases, and I love that. I love bands that are just willing to adapt and change like that. So I've been huge on that. What else? Oh man, I've been listening to Tom Waits lately. I think he's an interesting character. The uniqueness in his voice, you don't see that too often. I've also, I used to listen to strictly guitar music, like all the classic rock, and I haven't been doing that as much. I think with an injury, I've been listening to a lot of sounds you can get out of a lot of different instruments and devices. I've been listening to Portishead a lot. I really like how the band creates atmosphere. There's a simplicity in what they do, and then the vocalist comes over top with very strong melodic ideas. And it's really cool. I've also been into electronic music, jazz music. It's just it goes all over the map for sure. So the more we listen to, I think the more we could draw influence from. So
I'm with you there. It just keeps changing what I'm interested in all the time. So
yeah, it's not ADD either.
No. Yeah. I think it's a natural progression as a guitarist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
think it's ADD if you're not willing to listen to more music, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nothing against. You're probably going to cut this segment out of the interview.
No, not even.
No,
I think
okay.
For me, there was even a time when metal music just grinded my gears, and I didn't really want to listen to it, and that's changed over time. It's like I actually sit and listen.
You've grown to like metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
when it's not egotistical, I think metal music, like you look at Malmsteen, like somebody's got to get that guy, send him back down to earth, because
yeah,
he's so good, but I just end up laughing at what he's doing. It's like he's ridiculous.
Kind of a self-caricature.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
definitely. Okay, well, let's talk about overture music for a second.
Sure.
Tell me about your business.
Well, since I moved to Calgary, I started teaching through a couple studios, and have found that I wanted to build my own curriculum with teaching.
Yeah.
I didn't like being told what I have to teach, which books I have to work out of. So I started trying to find students on my own. And then this was about the time when I first injured myself. So I took some time off, and I've built up. I guess the amount of students I have as my wrist has healed, and as I've been able to play more. When you're starting something like this, it's important to know what you're doing, to know how to market yourself, because you could spend a lot of money on finding students and not get any response.
Right.
So there are different things that work. For sure, and I'm not going to go into too much into giving tips here,
right?
Because some competitors might be listening. Yeah. So, but Yeah, it's really great. I love being my own boss. I now have between 40 and 50 students. I'm trying to get to 50, capping it there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting students interested in all different types of music as well. And I think it's, I take all the technical and theoretical elements I've learned through my training, but also make sure that each student of mine is unique and ends up and that I'm able to adapt to that as well. So yeah. It's also cool, like, being your own boss. You get to I guess have your own events. There is this great pleasure in like running your own recital
Mm-hmm.
and emceeing your own recital and being in full control of that. Workshops are a huge part of the business, as you know. You've taught one last year, and we're
Yep.
having you out again this year. So
Looking forward to it.
so yeah, bringing workshops into your business is something that's really cool. Having complete control, I love that.
Yeah.
Control over what I teach and control over all the other elements of it as well. So
Yeah, and being a guitar teacher myself, I totally know where you're coming from on a lot of that, and having to build go on this particular studio's curriculum or whatever is kind of a tough thing to kind of convey to students when they're more interested in playing something popular, Green Day, as opposed to you working on like something classical or trying to learn a sight read for the first time. It takes a lot of effort. So
yeah, I think you need to really balance what you teach from a lot of different areas. Sometimes you're going to lose a student if you don't just make the lessons fun.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to adapt to that. So
Exactly.
throw the books away. It's not important. For some students, it's just developing interest in music, and that's all you can do. And as they progress, then they're going to be more open-minded to reading music and understand the importance of it. So, yeah.
Well, this is always a big question. What is your opinion on the current state of the music industry?
Well, what's being played to us hasn't gotten any better. Let's put it that way. Vibe 98.5. Oh boy.
Support the local scene.
Support, yeah. Yeah, it's even rock music. What's being played in rock stations, like, it's horrendous. Anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, intervals that are being used in music seems to be less and less welcomed. It seems like power chords and major, minor, and there's not a lot of interesting guitar in music. There's no room for it.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that, we had this discussion earlier, and you made some really good points, which I'll let you share it since it came from your mind. I am very optimistic though about the future of the music industry, and I'll let you.
So what were some of the things that I was talking about? Refresh my
my
memory.
You don't remember? Just that the music industry isn't in corporate hands like it used to be. There's not as much of a buck. It's very affordable for us all to record on our own and get our music out there on our own. And slowly, the music industry is being put in the hands again of musicians. It's very, very, very true, and it's taken a great change. Downloading is great; it's done wonders. So
I definitely see that happening, and gradually and more as time goes on, and as album sales decline, which isn't the entire truth. Actually, indie album sales are up, according to reports that I've seen. However, mainstream album sales are down, and so the corporate types are going to have a hard time simply because if they don't actually have passion for the music, they're simply in the industry for the money.
Yep.
And a lot of, which isn't to pass judgment on them. You got to find a job. Everyone's got to make a living.
Yeah, and there's been some scary statistics too about, like, in Canada, like, there's 1,000 bands signed a year, and only like 2 or 3 end up making a profit.
Right.
With what they do. That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of colleagues and bands that still work day jobs despite the fact that they're well known, and I'm not going to mention their names, but despite the fact that they're well known even across U.S. and Canada even. So
there you go. Don't try to be a star. Be yourself.
Absolutely.
Stop watching American Idol. I'm gonna get hate mail for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that's what you like, go ahead and watch American Idol. You know what I mean? If you want to find stardom and fandom, you can go ahead and do it that way
There's
too.
the 1 in a billion chance you win the darn thing, and then when you do, they throw you in the dirt.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they've put you through the ringer already.
Yeah.
At that point, right? You already have some live experience. You already have some touring experience. You already have a lot of what they need to package and market later on. So,
yeah,
you know, if you think that's the end of it, probably not. It probably only gets harder from there. More touring.
Saying that there is a lot of talented vocalists on the show.
Absolutely.
And I'm not discrediting that for sure. I'm just discrediting the idea behind it, and actually,
yes,
you know, it's not the people singing and putting their and doing what they're doing. It's the whole nature of the show that bugs me.
I hear that. I understand where you're coming from. So where do you see the music industry headed?
Oh, I'm not a fortune teller. Again, nothing I really put a lot of thought into. I read statistics that music is there's going to be a lot more jobs in musical fields in the future. So, yeah, I really, really, really hope that, you know, there is going to be a lot of opportunities for people with original work for performing and recording in the future, because I think it's a great job, and I think a lot of people are meant to be doing that. So,
Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break from all of our yapping, but tell us a little bit about the song that you're going to play here for us today. And
all right. It's just a bunch of ideas. It's actually the first thing we recorded on Pro Tools ever. Mm-hmm. So we haven't even got through the instructional DVD, the instructional DVD yet. So it's just
not the entire thing.
Just an unstructured, without vocals, bass, or drums right now. It's just we're just experimenting with Pro Tools. And it's just a song I was working on. So, yeah.
All right, here it is. Hi, everybody. This is David Andrew Wiebe. You are listening to the David Andrew Wiebe podcast. Thanks for tuning in today and listening to us yap away. I've got some more questions here for Pat. And my first question for you is, what are your thoughts on the local music scene?
Too much country! Exclamation mark! No, I'm kidding. No, I like country music. It's just, so thoughts on the local music industry. I think there's a lot of great acts out there, and there's a lot of great acts that have come from Calgary in the last couple of years and have, you know, found success and have been able to tour and have done some wonderful things. I I also think that there's been a lot of places open to have open jams and open mics.
Yep.
It seems like everybody can just go and play, which is great. Within these open mics, I find them to be very niche, very one sound. It seems like everybody's trying to fit this niche. Everybody's trying to, sound like somebody they're not. And that I have a problem with. I even find the people that are hosting a lot of the jams to, I've had experience, not all of them. I'm not going to mention names or anything, but I found some of them to be a little snobby and not really welcoming to a lot of musicians who are there to express. I've seen some people get up and, just put their full heart into what they did and no response. Nobody has came and talked to them. It's, as soon as somebody plays a Johnny Cash cover, I love Johnny Cash, but as soon as somebody plays a Johnny Cash cover, the whole audience is into it because, and we're not here to. That's why I love playing classical music. I don't want to relive the past. I want music to grow, and people have to be willing to let music grow, and bars have to be willing to accept artists that might sound a little bit different and are a little bit more unique. And artists especially that have a huge passion for what they do. So
yeah, it can be a pretty odd scene that way. I mean, I've been plugging away at this for 10 years, close to anyway, and there's still a lot of times you're not necessarily recognized or known, and you can't even take it personally. You just gotta keep at it. And
yeah, you can't take it personally, and that's not what It's not the recognition that's necessarily a problem here.
Exactly.
It's I just find that a lot of people are playing music for the wrong reasons. They're doing it to show off. They're doing it to just fit in. And it's not why we play music. I think a lot of people need to reevaluate why they're doing it. So it's it's incredible. You don't even have to be a great guitar player or singer. I'm not about that. I'm not being snobby in that way. You take somebody like Leonard Cohen, who just says some of the most beautiful things with his lyrics and with his poetry. Half decent voice, half decent guitar playing, and I like listen to that all day. Because he's saying it like it is. He's expressing himself. So.
And that's an important aspect of songwriting, right? Just kind of being honest with yourself and who you are.
Definitely. Not to make things all bubblegummy and just to please, You can conform and please and try to have fun, or you can really dig deep and create and grow.
So how important is it for a musician to network with a variety of people?
Oh, it's important. We learn so much from other musicians, everybody we play with, everybody we work with, everybody we talk to, every conversation we have relating with music. It's incredible how it changes our opinions, even criticism we get from other people. Once we're past taking it personally, it helps us grow. So it's very, very important to play with a lot of musicians and not, to be open-minded to that and to be welcoming. Let's face it, there's so many singers out there that want to just please everyone, and as soon as another member comes in, say a drummer, bass player, they just want them to fit that mold. It's like respect those artists. They're not here for your vision. They have to fit your vision. So, but it's very important to network and to be accepting of everybody you play with.
That seems to be such a huge lesson as a musician, kind of understanding what it is to be something and someone else is something else, and we as musicians we kind of get into this place where maybe we judge or we look at them in a certain way and we think, well, why are they doing that? But ultimately you kind of want to come to a place where you don't take things personally and you just enjoy them for what they do and enjoy yourself for what you do.
Exactly. Yeah.
it can be difficult for musicians to prioritize their time. So how can you best balance their practice time, promotion efforts, and daily responsibilities in your opinion?
Um, yeah, I'm someone that played too much, so and I've been tired from practicing too much.
Yeah.
We can't stress about it. We just gotta be. We can't just set out a big set of guidelines for how we're supposed to go about it. We just gotta do it. And that's, when we're just, it's when we're not stressed out that we create our best work, and that we're able to, do the most. So it's not something that I'm learning not to stress about prioritizing or anything. It's just you make a schedule. With the technical things like Pro Tools, it's not very fun watching those instructional DVDs. So you have you have a beer and you get past that. So but it's important to make sure you're getting together with the band a lot and that you're enjoying doing what you're doing. If you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to make it priority.
Yeah.
Just simple as that. If there's conflict and you're not enjoying it, you have to evaluate why. Bands break up for so many reasons. Everything has to fit. It's important as a band and with other musicians. You talk about problems you may have. Just get everything out there. So it's the only way it works. Playing with other musicians and. Yep.
Yeah, I find you can get burned out pretty quickly when you kind of sit down to say, okay, I need to practice 3 hours a day, and this is the time slot that I'm going to do that in, and then spend an hour on promotion, which, it's good to have some kind of structure, but ultimately it's hard to maintain something like that. It was
like if my girlfriend or my mom called me during during time when I was practicing, I wouldn't answer.
Right.
It was obsessive, and it wasn't healthy. So
you can't live when you're doing that.
You can't live like that. It eventually, it's not why we're playing. We're not playing to be. Well, it's important to be technical. It's important to work hard. It's important to this is a career, right?
Yeah.
It has to be taken seriously.
That's right.
But like anybody's career, they should be enjoying what they're doing. So ultimately, you have to. If you're not enjoying it, you have to evaluate why. And no offense, nobody enjoys practicing 4 hours straight, 5 hours straight, 6 hours straight. It's not fun.
Yeah. Well, if you get to thinking about so many things too, if your thoughts wander, like mine often do, I have a strong imagination. So
it's a way of definitely, I guess, of just numbing yourself playing that long.
Yeah.
If So it's if your thoughts are wandering, find out why they're wandering and express with it. Create a song.
That's a good point.
Yeah, find the chords that go along with that imagination, right? It's why you're a musician.
Yeah.
So, because you have imagination. So.
That's really good. So, what can we expect from you in the future? Coming days, coming weeks, coming months?
I think I'm just gonna give up everything and become a bum. Yeah. Or a pimp. I don't know. One or the other.
I think we just jumped up to PG-13, but that's all right.
Oh, what can we expect? Well, I'm not in a hurry to do anything. I think that, I'm trying to find the right members for sure. I'm not closed-minded to which members I have. Like it's like I don't have a certain vision of who they might be. It's just finding the right members, finding the right people to play with. There's my phone ringing.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's your mom or your girlfriend.
Yeah, distracting me. Yeah, I can't answer that. Okay, there we go. It's done. So what was the question again?
The question was, what can we expect from you in the future with your music?
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna rush. I'm making sure I find the right members for sure, and make even if I'm not jamming with a band and working with other musicians, I'm still growing as a musician. I'm still working towards my goals on my own by creating sound, by writing. I have a ton of songs written. I've been writing melodies. Saying that, I expect that when other members come in, that the sound's going to change a great deal, and I'm open to that as well. So
Cool.
so it's just, yeah, I want to find musicians to play with, people with the same passion. And
There's
what a
your
horrible ringtone. You think being a musician that I would have something cool on there, but I got this $40 pay as you go phone. It doesn't really allow for many ringtone options.
Okay.
So yeah.
So what ringtone did you pick?
Just I think it's just the default one
Okay.
that's on there right now. So on my old phone, which got wrecked in Canada Post, so it was a $200-300 phone. I had some pretty cool ringtones on. I had the Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3 themes
nice.
going, and
Love the Mega Man
and
themes.
all the regular Nintendo. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So
Cool.
I'm missing that for sure.
Well, this is the David Andrew Wheat podcast, folks. We get all kinds of happenings. You just never know when you get to talking. You've probably even heard the furnace trying to go on and off here a couple times too, but it's all good. So we're probably going to wrap things up here. But do you have any final remarks for the podcast?
No, I think we're hitting the hour mark here, so I think
Yep.
we should wrap things up pretty quickly. So if you've enjoyed this interview, hey, congratulations. Hopefully you got something from it.
I think it's been great. I think it's been very informative, and looking forward to having you on the podcast again in the near future.
Sweet.
Cool. You've been listening to the David Andrew Wheat podcast, broadcasting from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.